Hello students of class 9. We had already started the chapter The Tiger's Claw, where we saw that people were rejoicing because the tiger had been killed. And while the narrator of the story, he was also there in the procession. The talkative man just pats him on his back and calls them, and then he starts telling his story. And he says that this he had been an agent of a fertilizer company, and he had come to this village Kopal to popularize his product. And he talks that how why people came to know about this place, though it was a very remote place, is because of the railway station. And there was no proper station room, but a carriage which served as a station room. So therein we stopped the other day. One November morning, a mixed train put me down at the station and puffed away into the forest. The station master, with the flags under his arm, became excited on seeing me. He had seen so few travelers arriving that it gave him no end of pleasure to see a new face. He appointed himself my host immediately and took me to the ex-compartment and seated me on a stool. So it was in the month of November when a train, had dropped this talkative man at this Kopal village of Kopal station. And the station master was very happy seeing the talkative man, because that station master couldn't see many faces. Very few people came there. So it says that there was no end of pleasure. That is, he was very happy and excited to have somebody to visit their place. And he immediately became the host. That is, he took the responsibility of receiving this talkative man and to see to his comfort, and completely take responsibility of welcoming a guest. Now, and what did the station master first do? He took the talkative man into the station room, and we have already spoken about about the station room, and made him sit on a stool which was there. He said, "Excuse me, I'll get out these papers in a minute." He scrawled over some of the brown sheets, put them away, and rose. He locked up the station and took me to his home. A very tiny stone building consisting of just one room, a kitchen, and a backyard. So while the talkative man was seated in the station master completed some of his work. That is, he had some paperwork to do. So he finished it. He locked the station room, and he took the talkative man to his house. And what kind of a house was the station master's? It was a tiny stone building of just one room. It had just one room, one kitchen, and a backyard. So we can understand that it was a very small building, very small house. The station master lived there with his wife and 7 children. So wife and 7 children along with the station master. So 9 people are living in one single room. And there was, apart from that, there was a kitchen and a backyard. He fed me that he gave me something to eat. I changed. He sent the porter along with me to the village, which was nearly a mile off in the interior. So from the station master's house, the talkative man went further into the village, and the porter took him there. And the talkative man went to the village headman's house. Why? Because he lectured about his product from the pile. Pile is a raised structure which is generally found at the entrance of a house. Very popular in South India. So in the time of, in olden times, so he went there and he lectured about his product. I gathered about the I gathered about me the peasants of those 40 houses and lectured to them from the pile of the headman's house. They listened to me patiently, received the samples and my elaborate directions of their use, and went away to their respective occupations with cynical comments among themselves regarding my ideas of manuring. I packed up and started back for the station master's house at dusk, my throat smarting and my own words ringing in my ears. So after he went to the village headman's house, he lectured from there. Lectured from there means he talked about the product. Okay, not only he did that, he also gave some samples to those people of the village. The villagers were very means they were good in their behavior. They listened patiently, they took the samples, but when they went back, they just went back making cynical comments. Cynical means expressing doubt about the product itself. That is, whatever this talkative man said, they were not very sure about it, so they were very cynical, that is very doubtful about that. And then the talkative man went back to the station master's house, his throat smarting. Smarting means when you go on talking for a long time, your throat gets dry. Okay. It's smarting means dry, and it's sort of pains. Okay. Smarting, and my own words ring. So he went on talking, so even after he stopped, the words were kept on ringing in his ears. After dinner at the station master's house, I felt the time had come for me to leave. It would be indelicate to stay on when the entire family was waiting to spread their beds in the hall. So I went back to the station master's house, and the station master was generous enough to serve me the dinner. But then I didn't want to stay in that house anymore, because everybody was waiting to go to sleep. And he says it would be very indelicate in the sense that it would be very inhuman or inconsiderate on my part if I stay on, because first of all, they were all waiting to go to their beds. And not only that, it was a very small house and there were too many people in that. So if he also tried to stay over there, then it would not have been very good on his part to do that. I said I would sleep on the platform till my train arrived. So the talkative man decided to sleep on the platform. No, these are very bad parts, not like your own, full of tigers, the station master said. The station master immediately warned the talkative man and said, no, you cannot, you cannot spend the time, or wait for your train in the platform, because here, it's very dangerous. It's full of tigers. He let me, as a special concession, sleep in the station. So, as a good gesture, the station master allowed the talkative man to sleep in the station room. A heavy table, a chair, and a stool occupied most of the place of the compartment. Why he refers to it as a compartment? Because the station room was actually an old compartment. So what are the things that were there in that station room? A table, a chair, and a stool, a heavy table. I pushed them aside and made a little space for myself in a corner. I had at least 8 hours before me. I laid myself down. All kinds of humming and rustling sounds came through the still nights, and the telegraph poles and the night insects hummed, and the bamboo bushes creaked. I got up, bolted this little station door, and lay down, feeling forlorn. It became very warm, and I couldn't sleep. I got up again, opened the door slightly to let in little air, placed the chair across the door, and went back to my bed. So the talkative man says that there was a chair, heavy table, and a stool. So what he did was, in order to sleep inside that room, he just pushed them aside, and he made some room there. And then he laid down, because still he had to wait for another 8 hours for his train. And while he was lying down, he could hear all the sounds coming to him. That is the humming and the rustling sounds. It's the other trains that were going, and the rustling sound. Generally, you have this rustling sounds of the leaves, okay, which fall off, and rustling sounds which came through the still night, and telegraph poles and night insects hummed. So the sounds of the insects and the bamboo bushes creaked. When the wind passes through the bamboo bushes, it makes a creaking sound. So all these sounds could be heard by this talkative man. But the talkative man just bolted the door, and he tried to sleep. But then he felt very warm, means very suffocated. So what he did, he just opened the door and kept it a little open, okay, and say and this is the door. So he kept it a little open, and he placed the chair, barricading it. I fell asleep and dreamt. I was standing on the crest of a hill, means top of a hill, and watching the valley below. So he was standing on a hill, and he was watching the valley below, under a pale moonlight. That is, the moon was not shining very brightly. Far off, a line of cat-like creatures was moving along across the slope, half shadows, and I stood looking at them admiringly, for they marched on with great elegance, that is, with great beauty. So he was standing on top of the hill and watching some cat-like creatures who were walking, slowly walking down the slope, and the way they were moving, he was he was quite amazed by it, by the beauty of their movements. I was so much lost in this vision that I hadn't noticed that they had moved up and come up the winding path right behind me. So these cat-like creatures had moved along the slope, and now they were right behind my back. I turned around and saw that these were not cat-like in size, but full-grown tigers. I made a dash to the only available shelter, the station room. So then, as soon as he turned back, he saw that they were no longer cat-like, because he was seeing from far, it looked like cats, okay, but then they were full-grown tigers. So he saw, he immediately rushed to the nearest shelter, that was the station room. So we stop here today. We will do the rest of the chapter the next day. Thank you, students.